WL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. Without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about whether or not the Chiefs can three-peat with or without Chris Jones. This is definitely an interesting question because obviously we know how important and how key Chris Jones is and how great of a player he is. And I'm really curious, actually, to see more what Nick Wright has to say with regards to this, because I'm starting to get the sense that people just believe that the Chiefs are just unstoppable no matter what they do. And, as long as you got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, you can just do anything. And I disagree with that completely. So I'm really curious to see what Nick Wright has to say with regards to this. I really am. I wonder if he's saying, no, it's so important, we got to sign him, or if he's just like, no, you know what, we can let him go, get someone cheaper, so-and-so's up and coming. So I'm really curious. So let's take a look, and we can unpack it from there.
I got Rashee Rice.
The answer is quarterback, but the next answer is defensive tackle. They have drafted incredibly well, and they have drafted a ton of corners, and they've drafted so well they can let Travarius Ward walk out the door. They let a guy go to Washington, forget his name right now.
Thornhill.
And Snead might walk out the door this year. They draft a bunch of defensive ends, back-to-back first-rounders. They've drafted wide receivers. They haven't hit on all of them, but Sky Moore, Rashee Rice. The one spot they have not addressed is D tackle. And not a lot of great D tackles available, right? I know Matabuke could be available, but that would be weird to not pay Chris Jones and then just pay 80% of it for Matabuke. I don't think they would do that. And so I would overpay for him. He's 3 years younger than Aaron Donald. He is not quite Aaron Donald, but he's the next closest thing. And Aaron Donald's been highly productive these last 3 years. And so if you follow that same path, here's the other reason. There are four. I don't know if Chris is a first ballot guy yet, but four no doubt Hall of Famers associated with the dynasty of players. Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, Chris Jones, right? Those are the four. Mahomes isn't going anywhere. Kelsey at some point, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, will leave and you get nothing back because he will retire. Tyreek, you opted into losing him, but you got a ton back. For Chris to leave and you get nothing in return, you lose two of your four Hall of Famers over a stretch, and then three of your four eventually, and two of them you got nothing back. That's hard to deal with. So they could, but it's the one spot I would overpay to keep.
I go as far as what you're saying with the four of it. I think if Chris Jones never plays another snap, he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh, I agree. I was saying first ballot.
I know.
The other guys,
I'm saying this guy, he is the most underrated player of this entire Chiefs run. If you take a look at the top 10 vote getters for Defensive Player of the Year, he didn't even make the list. Deron Bland finished 5th in Defensive Player. Chris Jones is a game record. In the playoffs, it's his hit on Josh Allen. It's his pressure on Brock Purdy that makes all these plays. And he's beloved in the locker room. I saw Chris in Vegas at the Super Bowl, spent some time with his two agents, the Katz brothers, who are characters in themselves. He wants to be a Chief. He expressed as much in the parade. The Chiefs want him. I will go to the Combine next week. I'm having dinner with Brett Veach and Andy Reid on Monday night. If you want to go and see us at St. Elmo's, we'll go. We could do TMZ. We could do the whole thing. We'll be there. You want to join? We can. Big topic will be, what do we do to keep Chris Jones in this thing? Because free agency starts. And I will tell you, everybody in the Chiefs kingdom and everyone in that building wants him. Chris Jones wants to be there. I would overpay. At the sacrifice of what? I mean, you let everyone else walk if you have to. Chris Jones belongs in a Chiefs uniform. They didn't do it last offseason. The ask might have been too big, but I thought he exceeded expectations. To me, this is a no-brainer. You pay the guy what he wants. He's earned it, and he earned it again this year.
Will he take a little less?
I don't think so.
Really?
I think he wants his money. I think so. He hasn't gotten that second major deal, and he played on the one-year deal this year.
Brew wants everyone to take a little bit less.
No, I'm just asking.
I think he earned it.
He would be my top. Yeah, he would be my top priority, keeping him. But like you said, Nick, they could win it without him. 2 years ago, when they won it, they won it last year. Obviously, the receiving core wasn't great. You had Juju, okay, but it wasn't a great receiving core. That defense was 16th in scoring defense and 11th overall. So this year, the defense carried them. It was top 2, but they won it still without a great receiving core and a mediocre defense. So they could do it again, but I wouldn't try it.
So, well, let's win.
You would have to pivot. Without Chris Jones, you have to pivot back to a more explosive offense.
Yeah, okay. So that's the thing. And this is what I was arguing yesterday about upgrading their offense and giving Patrick Mahomes some help. You of course can win without some of these players, right? You can win without Chris Jones. You can win without Tyreek Hill. You can win without a top 5, top 2 defense, But your margin of error and the pressure and the stress just continues to increase, and you can't put it all on just like Patrick Mahomes to be magical. We see this with other teams. We've seen them. We've seen, and this is obviously to a lot lesser of a scale, but we've seen the Chargers do that to Justin Herbert. The Bills do that to Josh Allen. It's just like, go and win it for us. Come on, go ahead. And you need these weapons. It's a collection. It's never just one player, one coach, one thing. Yes, when the moment's at its biggest and you need Patrick Mahomes to step up, you need a Patrick Mahomes to step up in that moment, right? Like, that's why you win, right? He makes a perfect throw against the Ravens and a perfect play call by Andy Reid to ice the game, to be like, boom, we're done. See ya. Goodbye. Go into the Super Bowl. You need that ability. But then you also need the Chris Joneses of the world. You need these other key moments, which they pointed out, putting pressure on Purdy, putting pressure on Josh Allen. It completely changes the game. Now, it's, again, what it seems like, though, and this is just the way how offense and defense is changing in the NFL, and this is what Nick kind of just said. He didn't say this, but he was kind of alluding to this, is that if your defense is obviously weaker, then you need to go back to a more explosive offense. And the thing is that in the NFL, in the modern era, you can overcome a bad defense or poor defense, let's say. You cannot overcome a bad offense. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. So yes, every team does not need a Chris Jones to win it all, but it's definitely a massive luxury. I mean, it really is, especially when you're going up against good quarterback coach combos. Now, he's talking about Chris Jones, kind of disrupting, say, Purdy and Josh Allen. But again, Josh Allen hasn't been it's been harder for Josh Allen because his offense hasn't been as potent, and doesn't have a great, he hasn't had a great play caller. He doesn't have a great head coach. Purdy, he disrupted Purdy. This is Purdy's first full year starting, second, year in the league, so it's just like facing the Chris Joneses of the world is still like, whoa, my God, what is happening right now? It's just different, right? Even Patrick Mahomes to a degree would still struggle with someone in his face like a Chris Jones. But at the same time, him and Andy Reid are wizards, so they know how to navigate it. So you would be betting on Josh Allen. You'd be betting on these other coach quarterback combos of being unable to adapt and grow. If you're just going to be able to just say, all right, well, listen, Chris Jones is such a disruptor, as long as we got him, it makes the opposing offenses just struggle, which again, I don't want to say is all, is Shane Steichen and Jalen Hurts against the Chiefs, did very, very well offensively, incredibly well, because that was a brilliant coach OC combo. So when you have these other great OC combos, the Chiefs have been able to take advantage of just terrible quarterback coaching combos. I mean, they just really have. And kudos to them, because right, again, that's what ultimately makes the Chiefs the most special team in the NFL right now, is Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. But again, even Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid were struggling to get this offensive going. And so then this past season, it was led by the defense, undeniably. Is that how you want to move forward into the next, seasons? Is that really what you want to do? Because I think, again, people are a little confused. I'm not saying that the Chiefs got lucky that they won the Super Bowl, but a lot of fortunate things happened that the Chiefs were able to take advantage. I've said this a million times. The Chiefs are Super Bowl champions. They deserve to win the Super Bowl, okay? 1,000%. They outlasted all these other teams, but the margin of error was so fine, and they easily could have lost. Easily. There is a reason why the Chiefs were yelling at each other on the sidelines throughout the games. There was a reason why they felt under fire, because they felt that they could lose. Okay, so if they feel that they could lose, I don't know why all of you super fans think that they can't lose. Okay, that's just a reality. So again, to think that they're going to be able to just kind of go through this process the same way as they did last season, you're taking a lot of leaps of faith, because I have to imagine that these other teams are going to get better. Justin Herbert and a Harbaugh are going to be better. The Broncos should be better. Who knows about the Raiders, obviously. Joe Burrow should be healthy. I mean, if you had to bet, would he miss back-to-back seasons with substantial injuries? It's not the best bet. I know he's a little injury prone, but you have to imagine that it's a safe bet that Joe Burrow should be healthy. They are going to be a good team. The Ravens, I think they got a crash course in how to win in playoffs, right? We know they are a great team. The play calling, the coaching in the AFC Championship game was an absolute disaster and a disgrace. Flowers reaching over for across the goal line was an absolute disgrace. Getting all of these penalties was an absolute disgrace. You have to bet on them waking up and saying, all right, we're going to be better. We went through our growing pains now. We made these mistakes. We know we have to be better. So you can't bet on all those things. CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, there's no reason to believe that they won't be better. I mean, even the Colts and the Jaguars were a good team until all of the injuries. I mean, Trevor Lawrence just got a million injuries. He literally had like 4 different injuries in 4 weeks. Even Nick Wright loves, Trevor Lawrence and thinks he's great. Wright calls him the prince. So you have to imagine that if these teams and players are healthy, they're going to be better. And I think, put it this way, if the Chiefs, and will be my final statement, the Chiefs this season prove to be the ones to win because they have the championship pedigree, they have the championship coach, and the championship quarterback, right? They were able to lean on everyone else's weaknesses, which is a different way of winning. You can lean on other teams' weaknesses and saying, hey, we're just going to outlast you, which is essentially what they did. Right, that's why Patrick Mahomes wasn't, putting up 40 points and wasn't doing all the flashy, amazing plays. It was just like, we are just going to play smart, conservative football, and we are going to outlast. These other players are not going to be able to make plays. They are not going to be able to do it. They are not going to make the right play call at the right time, like RDC and and Andy Reid can do. That's what they did. That's what they leaned on, and that's how they won. They would have not been able to do that the season before or the season before that. Okay. The other teams were too good at those moments and were making the right plays and were healthy at the right positions. And the Chiefs would not have been able to win the way they won this year in previous years. So again, that's my biggest argument, is that you can't bet on this way of winning to be the next season. I'm just not imagining we're going to see a whole cluster of injuries again like we did. I mean, think of all the quarterbacks that went down, all the defensive players that went down right at the end of the season. Again, of course it's possible. Injuries are possible, but you don't want to build a team based on, okay, well, we're going to be able to beat the Bengals when Joe Burrow is injured, right? Like you're not going to build a team around that. So that's really ultimately how I feel with regards to this. But of course the Chiefs can three-peat with or without Chris Jones. But I just think, one of the biggest reasons why you want to pay him is because it sends a message also. He's such a big locker room guy. Everyone loves him. If you let him walk, the Chiefs locker room not only is missing, Jones, who obviously I just said they love, but it becomes colder now. You're looking at management a little differently. You're looking at the team a little differently. You're kind of starting to see like, oh, is it just Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce? Right? Like the other players start to feel like outsiders. Because if Chris Jones is walking, it's just like, well, it's like, well, who am I? You know what I mean? Like that to me, and that's a very dangerous thing. That's a very dangerous thing because once you hit adversity, the other players start to look out for themselves, because they start to even feel and predict that they're on the chopping block, or that they're going to be let go or traded or cut, or, depending on obviously what level you're at. It just starts to feel more like I'm not a Chief. I play for the Chiefs, right? This isn't my jersey. I'm just wearing this jersey. This is their jersey. Patrick Mahomes doesn't feel that way no matter what's happening. Travis Kelce doesn't feel that way no matter what's happening. Andy Reid doesn't feel that way no matter what's happening. But the other players can be susceptible to that. Some of these players that are helping win the Chiefs win and win Super Bowls and, go to parades and stuff like that, they are not bleeding Chiefs. They are not, I am Chiefs to the day I die, let's go, right? Like, it's just like they play for the Chiefs, they win, they love Patrick Mahomes, they're celebrating, they're making money. It's different, right? And so, again, you let Jones walk, it sends a very specific message. And now I'm not saying you're sending that message on purpose. It's not like I'm saying management is trying to send that message, but it is the message you're getting. And things can change very quickly. Make no mistake about it. And if Travis Kelce was still maybe in his prime, you can kind of maybe get away with it. But as Travis Kelce starts to fade and becomes less intimidating and people start to care less, Chris Jones is gone. Kelce is no longer like this guy that you're looking up on the mountaintop, in the locker room. Things start to change. And before you know it, you're, like the Packers. Honestly, you're almost like become the Packers with Aaron Rodgers and, losing some of these big key veteran players that are just gone and the locker room changes. Now it's all on Aaron to be the voice and no one else can pick that up. And, and it just, things can get weird quickly. So just for that matter, I would keep Chris Jones just for the sake of, connection and family building. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, please let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really, really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. It's completely free for you. All you do is literally just got to click the button. That's all you got to do, and it helps me tremendously. Thank you so much, and see you next time.